that Dallas megachurch pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes is doing well after he unexpectedly left Sunday church service. Jakes exited the pulpit while his son-in-law and co-senior pastor delivered Sunday's sermon. An ambulance was observed at the church shortly thereafter. According to the Potter's House, Jakes took a brief moment to consult with his doctors and later had dinner with his family as planned. This past summer, he officially stepped down as senior pastor 1 year after experiencing a heart attack while preaching.
On Sunday, October 5th, an ambulance arrived at the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, the renowned megachurch founded by Bishop T.D. Jakes. The sight stirred concern among congregants, especially after Bishop Jakes unexpectedly left the service early. The emergency response was reportedly linked to ongoing health issues he's been facing over the past year, which have been publicly acknowledged. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what happened that day, and we'll also dive into the legal challenges Bishop Jakes is currently navigating. Although he's no longer serving as senior pastor of the Potter's House, he remains actively involved in addressing multiple lawsuits, each with its own complexities. We'll break it all down and bring you the most accurate information we can. Before we get into the details, welcome to the channel. As always, we walk by faith, not by sight. And for me, that's more than just a saying. It's a way of life. If you'd be so kind, please hit that like button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 likes on this video. It's a simple way to support the work we're doing here. Feel free to share this video across your social media platforms to help spread awareness, expose corruption in the church, and protect those who are vulnerable. Now, let's begin with the defamation lawsuit involving Bishop Jakes and a former pastor who once sat under his mentorship, Dwayne Bloodwood. Bloodwood himself has faced serious legal troubles, and his connection to Jakes adds another layer to the unfolding story. Dwayne Bloodwood, a former pastor who served time and is now a registered sex offender due to serious offenses involving minors, has publicly claimed that part of what led him down that path was abuse he says he suffered in his youth. Specifically, he has alleged that Bishop T.D. Jakes sexually mistreated him when he was much younger. This isn't the first time these allegations have surfaced. I've covered this story in previous videos, so I won't rehash every detail here, but for context, Bloodwood is one of at least 3 individuals who have worked with Bishop Jakes in ministry over the past 4 decades and have made similar claims. Among them are his own brother, Richard Bloodwood, and another former pastor who was once affiliated with Jakes. According to Dwayne Bloodwood, the alleged incident occurred long before the founding of the Potter's House, back when Jakes was preaching in Pennsylvania. Youngwood claims that Jakes, who was familiar with his family, visited their home after a church event. He alleges that Jakes made inappropriate advances towards him, including attempting to kiss and embrace him. The following day, Youngwood claims Jakes called him from a bathtub and made suggestive remarks, even offering him money in exchange for a continued relationship. These are, of course, serious allegations. Bishop Jakes has categorically denied all of these claims. In fact, in November 2024, he filed the defamation lawsuit against Dwayne Bloodwood in response to these accusations. Youngwood had shared his story publicly on 2 separate occasions during appearances on the Larry Reed live show. As part of the legal proceedings, Jakes has maintained that the allegations are entirely false. But an attorney who was representing Dwayne Bloodwood, his name is Tyrone Blackburn. He's no longer representing Youngwood, there's been a falling out there, but Tyrone Blackburn was accused of misusing AI when it came to the interpretation of case law. He's been accused of misinterpreting quotations from it's not good. And T.D. Jakes and his attorneys were asking the courts for basically sanctions here against Blackburn, monetary sanctions, and for him to pay $76,000 in legal fees back to Jakes' attorneys. Now, a district judge, William Stickman, has responded to that, and he actually, disagreed with T.D. Jakes on the amount that Tyrone Blackburn should have to pay. Now, the judge did say that monetary sanctions, no doubt, should go into effect here for Tyrone Blackburn because he agrees that he misinterpreted, misrepresented case law, the misuse of AI, all of that. there should be consequences, monetary consequences. However, he did state that $76,000 is just outrageous. So instead, what the judges said is that Blackburn will pay just $5,000. So that's quite a difference. I'm sure that for Tyrone Blackburn, he's probably thinking to himself, whew, okay, I dodged one there. So he'll have to pay $5,000, but even at that, he only has to pay like $500 a month until the $5,000 to the attorneys is wiped clean. And the first payment is due either on or before November 15th of 2025. So that's what's going on with that as far as the litigation between both Jakes and Youngwood. That is still ongoing with this lawsuit. You know, Youngwood has already sued Jakes, and then Jakes had countersued him with the defamation for the claims of sex mistreatment. That's still ongoing. Where that goes, how long that takes to finally to settle, is anybody's guess, but I'll continue to monitor that for you. Now let me switch gears over to T.D. Jakes and his health. If you guys remember, and this was something that I reported, and it's actually been almost a year now, but it was the Sunday before Thanksgiving in November of 2024, where Jakes was on stage. He was finishing up his sermon, and he sort of slumped in his chair, and, you know, his hand in the microphone, it was lowering, and then you had all sorts of people rushing the stage. We wondered for really months after that what happened, because the church at the time, in a statement, had basically said that it was a slight health incident. I believe those were the words that they used. It didn't look like a slight health incident. Jakes had gone into the hospital and he was back home before Thanksgiving. I believe he was released on Wednesday, the day before. And he did a video from the hospital and he said that everything was good. He thanked the staff, never told us though what it was. But later on, Jakes would, you know, do some other videos. He would come back to the Potter's house. I believe it was the New Year's Eve service. And he talked about how he had basically, you know, died twice, he said. He says, I think I died twice when they were operating on me, and even called himself Bishop Lazarus. And, you know, we kind of joked at that a little bit at the time because I just didn't think this guy should be calling himself that. But it was really sort of this way of, I mean, all the sympathy that fell on Jakes. And I will say this, you know, I have sympathy, genuine sympathy for people who struggle with health challenges. I would never wish that upon anybody, because to go through whatever kind that you have to go through, it's hard. I mean, it is rough, okay? And a lot of people were pointing that out about Jakes and wondering if it was legit or not. And look, I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you one way or the other. I can only just take what he's saying. You know, if this was something serious was going on, that's terrible. I hope that he's fully healed from whatever, you know. Well, we did find out, so it seemed like he was back. But then in March, he gave an interview with NBC, and Jakes revealed finally what that quote-unquote slight health incident from November really was. And Jake said that it was a heart attack. Oh, to me, a heart attack ain't a slight health incident, and that's a serious deal. That actually made me go back and think about how he was able to get out of the hospital so fast the way that he did. You know, again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but you're only in the hospital for 3 days with, you know, having a heart attack and everything else, like, you know, and having them operate on you. So I don't know. There's some things with this story that just make me sort of scratch my head. So all that to lead you up to what happened on October 5th, where Jakes was at the service. You guys know he's not preaching anymore. He handed over the reins. He might preach occasionally, but he handed the reins over to his daughter and son-in-law, and Sarah Jakes and Torrey Roberts. And Torrey Roberts was preaching the service on Sunday, October 5th. Jakes had gotten up, he went up to the front, and he laid an offering down on the, you know, up at the front. Wonder how much it was. But after that, he gets back to his seat, and he was obviously struggling. There was some concern. He was immediately taken out of the service, and an ambulance had arrived. Not good. So the second time in almost a year that, you know, Jakes has had a health incident at service. But in a statement released by the church, because people were very concerned to see the ambulance there, they were thinking, oh, here we go again, all over again, right? But the church said that this was nothing more than a precautionary measure, that it was, you know, Jakes had met with his doctors for, you know, again, just it was the responsible thing to do, and that there was no cause for concern. Well, if there was no cause for concern, then why was there an ambulance that was sent? Obviously, there was something going on, which was why everybody was rightfully concerned. A lot of people love T.D. Jakes. Whether you don't like his teachings or you don't or you do, you know, still, this is a man. People don't want to see him suffer. So you can understand that. But they said that Jakes had met with his doctors, and not long after that, he was given the all clear, said that he was okay, and he joined his family for dinner, a pre-planned dinner later on that same night. So the church has not said anything else about this. We don't know the extent of why the ambulance was called. Was the health incident, was the health scare anything to do with the heart attack from the previous year? We don't know. The Potter's house hasn't exactly been the most transparent when it comes to Jakes's health over the last year. It's sort of them wanting to protect him at all costs. I think it's good if they are transparent, because then at least people don't have to speculate, as many were last year, trying to figure out exactly what it was that happened with Jakes to begin with. But again, if he's undergoing health issues, prayers to him, because again, I don't think anybody should go through something like that. Whatever is going on also behind the scenes with Jakes, when it comes to these allegations, I hope that they're not true. I really hope they're not true. Only God knows for sure. But if there has been any wrongdoing here, let's just pray that Jakes can repent, and anybody else involved can repent as well and get things right, because God certainly is revealing a lot here in the time of the end. So I want to hear from you guys on this. You can sound off in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about TD Jakes, the Potter's house, the lawsuits, his health, everything that's going on in the comment section. We always encourage everybody to get involved in the discussion. That does help the video perform better with more engagement. Don't forget our 1,000 likes goal. Hit that like button for us. It's a quick and easy way to support what